divorce should be given in the state of purity. Not during her menses. It was not allowed. As Abdullah bin Umar radiallahu an did the same thing. He had divorced his wife during her menses. So Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam asked him to keep his wife back and to give talaq in the state of purity. So the first point related to talaq, it should be given in the state of purity. But before that, we need to understand one thing. Does it really wrong to give talaq? What does it mean, triple talaq? Is it really zulm on women? And what is the right of women for the separation? Is women subjugated by talaq? How you can defend the word talaq? If it's wrong, then why we have rule related to talaq? Because the word talaq, it gives you a kind of fear, and it is the way of separation between loving wife and loving husband. So what exactly talaq means? That Islam has given the permission to give talaq without any concern, without any thinking anything. So first thing, divorce is the last option. Before that, as we discussed into Surah An-Nisa, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked everyone to reconcile, and they have to do everything in order to be with their partner. If they're unable to do with one another, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is asked to take the talaq. The Arabic word for divorce is talaq, which means freeing or undoing the knot. In the terminology of jurists, talaq signifies the dissolution of marriage or annulment of its legality by the pronouncement of certain words. Divorce is of three kinds: ahsan, hasan, and bid'ah. Talaq ahsan the most laudable divorce, where the husband divorces his wife by making one pronouncement within the term of tahr or tuhur. That's called purity. When the woman is not passing through the period of menses, during which he has not had sexual intercourse with her, and she is left to observe her iddah. And talaq hasan, a laudable divorce, is where a husband divorces a wife by three sentences of divorce in three tuhur. And talaq bid'ah, or irregular divorce, is where a husband divorces his wife by three divorces at once. According to the majority of divorce, the ulama and fuqaha, the talaq holds good, but it against the spirit of Sharia. Therefore, the man who follows this course in divorce is an offender in the eye of Islam. The right of women is demanding the dissolution of marriage is also the right of women is called khula, meaning literally the putting off or taking off a thing. It's a kind of facility provided to the wife in securing talaq from her husband by returning a part or full amount of the bridal amount. So first thing, we need to understand what is talaq. Talaq is a part of separation where a husband pronounces the word talaq to his wife, and it has three categories. First thing, ahsan, the best way of talaq, what it will be. And after having this explanation, you may understand, inshallah, the justice of Islam and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted the partners, the husband and wife, to be each other no matter what they did. So we have two people as the case study, Zayd and Zainab. So way of talaq, Zayd has given talaq to Zainab. So Zayd has rights of triple talaq that he can use in his lifetime. So Zayd used the word talaq for a separation from Zainab. So what are the rulings? First thing, out of three chances of talaq or pronouncing talaq, one is finished. Imagine Zaid has given the talaq to Zainab in the month of April 2021. Then what it says? فَطَلِّقُهُنَّ لِعِدَّتِهِنَّ. What about the iddah? Iddah is all about ثلاثة قروء, which means three tuhur. It's very important to understand that she has to wait ثلاثة قروء, which means 3 tuhur or 3 hayd. Like he has given in the month of April 2021. So Zainab has to wait, since Zainab in the state of purity when she was given talaq. So she has to wait for her 3 menses. Like if she has the menses every month, so she has to wait for the 3 months. So it should be ثلاث حيض. And where she has to wait? In the house of her husband. Imagine the rule of Islam. She will be in the house of her husband. So let's imagine if he has pronounced the talaq in April, so these 3 menses will continue up to May, June, July. You could say the early July. So it's almost the period of 90 days from the first talaq was given. Now understand the rule. If Zaid has pronounced the talaq in the month of April, so she was waiting for her 3 menses, that is up to next 3 months. So in the period of 90 days, if Zaid and Zainab had sexual relationship, then this talaq will be invalid and they can be with each other. Will be invalid and they have to be each other. Understand this concern once again. If Zaid has given the talaq to his wife in the month of April in the state of purity, so Zainab has to wait for her 3 menses in the house of Zaid. In the period of 90 days, if Zaid approached to her and they had sexual intercourse, then this talaq will no longer be valid and they were be with each other without separation and without getting married once again. If he approached to her in the period of 90 days, or let's say ثلاث حيض. Okay, what is the state of purity and impurity? Impurity, that's related to menses, and purity where she was allowed to have salah and saum, which means without menses. So talaq should be given in the state of purity and she has to wait for her 3 menses. And we have different time for the menses, but at least we can figure out next 3 months. So in the period of next 3 months, if they had physical relationship with each other, sexual intercourse, then this talaq will be invalid and they can live with each other without any separation or remarry. Where? Because she has to be in the house of her husband. So this is the first talaq was given. So Zayd and Zainab, the first talaq was pronounced in April. And they were each other in the month of June. So what is the ruling? Because they approached to each other, or husband approached to his wife before the end of this period, the time of 3 months. So Zayd and Zainab can live with each other without any separation or without any remarrying, remarriage. Okay, then what is the impact of this first talaq? Since Zayd has the chances of 3 talaq, now once is pronounced, so how many talaq remain with Zayd? Only 2. Let's believe, what if Zayd and Zainab, after giving talaq in the month of April, he didn't approach to her in her iddah, like of 3 menses. What happened then? Then separation would happen. So they're no longer into the legal contract of marriage. But in August or September, if Zayd would like to marry Zainab, so what is the ruling? Like Zayd, in the first case, Zayd approached to Zainab in the middle of Iddah. So they should not get into the separation and not the process of remarriage, because he already approached her in Iddah period itself. So on talaq was over, but no need to separation and remarriage. But if Zayd did not approach her till her iddah remains, and after the separation, if Zayd would like to marry Zainab, then what will be the ruling? Then there are 2 ways. Zainab has the right to marry anyone or to marry Zayd. Both the options are available with Zainab. If Zainab would like to marry anyone, if she doesn't want to be with Zayd, she has the right. If she would like to marry or remarry Zayd, is it allowed? Yes, it is allowed. But what is the difference? Then they have to marry once again with new bridal money. Yes, this is the iddah period. Like if they miss the chance to be approached, like Zayd did not approach her in the iddah period, and iddah period finish. And after this, Zainab has 2 ways to go. Either she can marry anyone or she can marry Zaid, because only once talaq is pronounced, and Zaid has to marry some other person and get talaq and again marry to Zaid. That is after 3 talaq, not 1 talaq. So after given the first talaq and the iddah period was over, and Zaid and Zainab would like to be with each other, and they have to go with the remarriage process with the new bridal money. What is the difference? If Zaid approached in the period of iddah, no need for the separation or the remarriage with new bridal money. He can continue with the same existing bridal money, and 1 talaq was over, and he has only 2 chances. In the second case, Zaid approached her after finishing her iddah. So Zainab has 2 ways to go. Either she can marry anyone, or if she would like to marry Zaid, then she has to marry with new bridal money. In both cases, 1 talaq was over. Is that clear to everyone? In first case, no remarriage, no separation, because Zaid approached in the period of iddah. In second case, Zaid has to pay new bridal money because he approached her after finishing her iddah, where she has 2 options. Either she can go with Zaid or marry anyone. Now Zaid has 2 talaq remains. Now again, after some clashes, Zaid would like to give talaq to Zainab. This was the second talaq was given in the month of December, or we could say January 2022. Now the same procedure will follow as it followed in the first talaq. What was that? She has to wait for 3 menses, her iddah period. If Zaid approached her before the iddah period ends, then she can continue with him as husband and wife without remarriage and without separation, as it was happened in the first case as well. Imagine if the iddah ends in April, so Zaid has to approach her before the iddah periods end. Then she has, or he has not to pay anything, new bridal money, in order to have Zainab. He can continue her with the same bridal money. But if Zaid did not approach her till her iddah finish, and after finishing the iddah, again Zainab has 2 chances. Either she can go with Zaid or anyone. If Zaid would like to marry again her in the month of May, where iddah was finished, then what is the procedure? Then they have to remarry with new bridal money. So the procedure of first talaq and second talaq were almost same. But what is the difference of first talaq and second talaq? After second talaq, Zaid has only 1 chance. And this is the last chance for Zaid. Imagine if they marry with each other for the second time after having a second talaq, then Zayd has only one chance for talaq. If this time, let's suppose Zayd again gives the talaq to Zainab in next year, in 2023. So this is the last time where Zayd has not to approach. The only chance for Zayd was the third. After giving the third talaq, she has no right to be with her. So after pronouncing the third talaq, there was no chance given to Zayd and Zainab to be with each other again. It was only then she has to marry, that Allah mentioned Surah Al-Baqarah in ayat number 230, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, like after having the third talaq, it was no right for him to be with her. So imagine how many chances Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given to Zayd. Like after pronouncing the first talaq, he has the iddah period. Okay. After finishing this talaq, he was allowed to marry her for the second time. After giving the second talaq, they have to be with each other for 3 months. That is iddah period. And after iddah period finish, they were allowed to marry once again. But for the third time, there was no excuse was given to them. Imagine after having this much lengthy process of talaq, of ahsan, do you really feel that talaq is zulm on the women? How many chances they were given to them to be with each other? What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned into this one? Surah Al-Baqarah, ayat number 229 and ayat number 230. These two ayah related to talaq. Okay, what is this two talaq? Okay, after pronouncing the third talaq, then he has no chance left with him to marry her again. 2 chances were given to her or to him. What was the chances? After first talaq, and after second talaq. But if you pronounce the third talaq, then there is no chance for him to be with her. So imagine about these 2 ayat, as Allah says in the Quran, الطلاق مرتان فإمساك بمعروف أو تصريح بإحسان ولا يحل لكم أن تأخذوا مما آتيتموهن شيئا إلا أن يخافا ألا يقيم حدود الله فإن خفتم ألا يقيم حدود الله فلا جناح عليهما فيما افتدت به تلك حدود الله فلا تعتدوها ومن يتعد حدود الله فأولئك هم الظالمون. Divorce is twice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given the chance for him for 2 times. Either keep her in acceptable manner or release her with good treatment. And it's not lawful for you to take anything or you have given them as a part of bridal money. And after this, what Allah says, فَإِن طَلَّقَهَا, this is the third time. فَلَا تَحِلُّ لَهُ مِن بَعْدُ حَتَّى تَنْكِحَ زَوْجًا غَيْرُهُ. So if he has divorced her for the third time, then she is not lawful to him afterward until she marries a husband other than him. And if later the husband divorces her or dies, then he has to marry her. So after given so much chances, do you think just pronouncing talaq 3 times at once and there is no relation between husband and wife? No, Islam has given so much chances for husband and wife to be with each other. Like after giving the talaq, Zainab has to be in the house of Zaid. Imagine if a person pronounced talaq out of anger of anything out there, he would realize what the mistake he had did. And he would approach to his wife. If she is into the house of her husband. Imagine in talaq bid'i, he pronounced triple talaq to her. From the day one itself, she is not the part of the life of Zaid, and there was no point they can be with each other. If they would like to be each other, so they pronounce or they use a new method called halala, that's completely haram. They hire a person for a marriage of a day, then he would talaq her and she was allowed to marry Zaid again. So it was completely wrong. So the triple talaq bill for each and everything was based on his irregular talaq. That's not the part of sunnah. So one talaq at once. This is talaqu ahsan. This is very important topic. So please pay attention to this one. Since most of the women, they consider Islam doesn't give justice to the women. No, it's not the case. For each and every talaq, we have certain rules to follow. It doesn't mean that a person pronounced 3 talaq at the time and she will completely separated from him. No. After talaq, that she has to be in the house of her husband for next 3 menses in her iddah, where more likely he could approach her so that talaq will be invalid. Imagine if he did not approach in the time of iddah, then after the separation, he has the chance to be with her again. And they have the good life. And after some clashes, he would like to give second talaq, then he has to follow the same procedure. After pronouncing talaq, she will be in the house of him for the next 3 menses of her iddah. If you approach her again, then second talaq will be invalid. Without separation and remarriage, they will be with each other. But after he finishes the iddah, again Zaid has chance to be with Zainab after the marriage by paying new bridal money. So 2 talaq were over. Now Zaid and Zainab to be very careful not to give or not to pronounce third talaq. Imagine if we just taken a case study, like Zaid has given talaq in April 2021. Imagine in the process of how many years? It almost 2 to 3 years. Do you think how many chances they were given and how much time was given to think and reconsider their concern about talaq? Was it a matter of 3 minutes? So if you look at the talaq, the way of sunnah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not dhulm over the women. He has given all the chances to men and women to rethink themselves. And not only like this, like a person would like to play with her and he talaq once and again talaq. So this is not the procedure. So after the separation, Zainab has the two ways. Either if she would like to go with Zaid, or she can have new husband. So this is a preservation for the right of women. Inshallah, tomorrow we'll discuss talaq hasan and irregular talaq, where it's a talk of the town for the people about the triple talaq. Whereas simple triple talaq given at once, then separated, and have to marry other as still husband and wife. So this triple talaq was not actually the rule of Islam. So scholars will consider no matter what the talaq they're given at once, but they will be considered only one, not triple. I hope this is the clear way to understand about the talaq, about talaq wa ahsan, where he has to give talaq, each talaq at once. After each talaq, they have to go through with the complete procedure of iddah, and after iddah, they have again chance to be with each other without marrying anyone. They can be with each other because this is the first talaq was given and he has two more chances. So inshallah we finish our class and tomorrow we'll have the other types of talaq, inshallah. Okay, since the matter was concerned related to English, inshallah, tomorrow I'll explain the same thing in Urdu as well, inshallah. So, Jazakallah khair, barakallah feekum, ahsanallahu ilaykum, shukran. So, Jazakallah khair, barakallah feekum, ahsanallahu ilaykum, shukran.